I got sick in my sobriety. I was a guy who I'd been diagnosed as clinically depressed before I got sober in the years I was in and out by some competent psychiatrists, and I wasn't really clinically depressed. And I'll tell you how, I'm not a psychiatrist, but I'll tell you how I know that. Because I diligently applied the medication and treatment for clinical depression, I didn't get any better. It wasn't until I came to Alcoholics Anonymous and applied the treatment for spiritual depression that I started to get better and I started to get free. The problem, it looked exactly like clinical depression, but it really was the depression of a spirit and a being that is being smothered by himself. Right? I just had so much of me on me that it was as if the very oxygen hose to my being had been crimped. And I was suffering from that. And I got sober and I battled with that, and 12-step work saved me from that continually. I eventually started working the steps, and I was free from it. I mean, free from it. And when I was 19 years sober, it came back. And this is crazy. It came back in a time in my life where I had everything I ever wanted. I was making much more money than I make today, that I have today. I ran out of things to buy. I mean, the only thing left would have been a Gulf Stream or something, or a Lear. I mean, I had like 3 very expensive, fancy cars and 2 motorcycles and 30-some pair of custom cowboy boots and all kinds of jewelry, and I had enough money in my bank account at that point that I could have retired. I never worried about money. I remember I came home from a trip to Maui where I stayed at this beautiful hotel on the beach in Wailea and rented a Harley and rode around the island, went to gourmet restaurants. It was a wonderful trip, and I came home, and I'm sitting in my house. It's a very nice house. There's a view of the city of Las Vegas sits up high, and I'm sitting there, and I'm depressed, and I can't shake it. And it's crazy because I have everything. And I don't know about you guys, when I feel weird, I always want to hang it on something. Like somewhere I didn't get my way or something. And I had everything. And I'm sinking into this deep depression. And it's bad. And it's the first time I'd had this for years, since I was, new in sobriety. And I didn't know what to do. And I went to a meeting one night. And I'm telling this friend of mine about it. And I felt awful. It's that kind of depression where you can't even hear in meetings because you're so self-consumed, right? And I managed to get to this meeting, and I'm telling this friend of mine, and here's what he said to me. He said, well, you go to meetings and you sponsor guys and you run your mouth a lot in AA, and he says, but I don't think your primary purpose is helping other alcoholics anymore. He said to me, I think your primary purpose is you. They say the truth will set you free. It'll ruin your day first. I'm telling you. Because he's right. It hurt, but he was right. Somehow the purpose of my life had become my toys and my business and my finances and my sex life and what you think of me and how many sponsees I have and how many toys. It had become me. And here's the sad part and the frightening part. I didn't even know that had happened. Honest to God, I didn't even know it had happened. You don't go from a guy who's lit up helping drunks to a guy who's consumed with himself overnight, I think. I think it's a small incremental shift back into the center of the universe again. And I didn't even know that happened. And some of us know that no matter how good you get it out here, if it ain't no good in here, I'm telling you, it ain't no good. And I was dying. And within a week, I got a couple knuckleheads, new guys in my car, and I'm lit up again. I'm lit up again, and I've never been back in that place since then. Because I'd walked slowly, incrementally away from my primary purpose. And this is just speculation based on my experience, but I think if you're an alcoholic of my type, you're compelled. You don't have a choice. You're compelled to serve something. And you're either going to serve yourself, or you're going to serve an ethic and a principle and a purpose, and ultimately behind the curtain, a power greater than yourself, or you're going to serve yourself, but you're going to serve something. And most of us have spent our lives serving ourselves. And there's only one question you ever have to ask yourself with that. How'd that work? Right?